All right, so here are we with Charlie Kirk as he goes ballistic on these college students, and then he says that in a sense some of these Democrat students are racist. Why did he say so? Let's get down to the video and listen to the conversation.
Yeah, you said there's no such thing as white privilege. Thank you.
There is no such thing as white privilege. It's racist and a lie. Prove it.
You prove it. Prove it down with
Asian Americans are the richest people in America.
You made a claim.
Asian Americans are the richest people in America per race.
Okay.
Indian Americans are the second richest.
Okay, wealth doesn't mean power in every single
So, do you believe in Asian American privilege?
Hey, wealth doesn't mean power and privilege.
Do you believe in Asian American privilege?
I believe that there are a few people of certain races who have gotten very, very wealthy based on trade, based on the economic system that we have. I also believe that as a white man, I historically have an advantage over people who are of a color that is not my skin color. This is evident from the slave trade, all the way up to Reconstruction, and all the way up to Jim Crow laws. I assume, based on your facial expression, that you have a retort. I'm going to go ahead and let you make it.
So did we treat Asian Americans well in the 1940s and 50s?
We sure didn't.
So then how did they overcome that?
They overcame that through
Were they privileged?
having to work harder than white people.
Oh, so they worked harder and they were rewarded for it 60 years later.
How about people that work hard for like 350 years and didn't get any reward? Yeah.
Like who?
Slaves.
Yeah, slaves.
What do you mean? Do you know anyone that's ever owned a slave?
Do I know anyone that's ever owned a slave?
Yes.
What does that have to do with that?
It has a lot to do with it.
What does that have to do with like?
Because if you make three big choices in America, you're guaranteed not to live in poverty. You know what those three choices are? Get married before you have kids, get a job, and graduate high school. You know what community does that at the highest rate? Asian Americans. That's why they're successful. We live in a meritocracy. You make good choices, you will be rewarded for those choices, irrelevant of your skin color. So when you say white privilege exists, good choice privilege exists.
Yeah, but I think white people reap a lot of benefits.
Name one benefit that white people that they benefit from this society, despite
Police
Asian.
treatment.
What?
Police treatment.
What about police treatment? That white people are more likely to be shot by a police officer than a black person's likely to be shot by a police officer? From the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Justice independent study of 300 independent police forces across the country. Facts must bother leftists because they always walk away as soon as you recite them.
You can make a ton of leftists here who are still standing here.
Well, I've already made a couple leave, but I'm happy to keep going.
Oh, you made a couple. That's great.
No, but let's get back. Can you,
that's quantifiable evidence.
If white privilege exists, why are Asian Americans and Indian Americans wealthier, have higher incomes, live in better areas on aggregate than white Americans do?
I don't know.
Maybe because white privilege doesn't exist.
Maybe. Or maybe
maybe it doesn't. Okay. Maybe skin color has nothing to do with it, but choices have everything to do with it.
I disagree with you.
Then show me some evidence, because I just showed you some evidence that it doesn't exist.
What would you take as evidence? What counts for you?
Something that I just said. For example, that the wealthiest people in America, numbers would be nice, historical data, logic.
Testimony.
No, testimony means nothing. I don't care about anyone's version of truth. I care about evidence. I don't care about feelings. I care about facts.
Aren't most of these studies partially based on testimony, though?
No, when you say that Asian Americans are the richest people in America, that's math. That's looking at people's income. That's not testimony.
Okay.
Testimony would be a singular person saying, I've had a tough time. That would be testimony, which that might be true, but that doesn't make it true in the aggregate. I'm sorry?
Is there discrimination?
There's discrimination against all sorts of people.
Yeah, is it worse against black people or is it equal?
Depends what part of the country, it depends what situation. And when that exists, there's laws to put people in prison.
If you put them all together, which race faces discrimination in this country?
I would say probably Hispanic Americans in certain parts of the country, even more so. But I have no data to support that. You asked me some anecdotal question. I haven't done that much thinking about it. But I'll say this. In America, If you make a sequence of good choices irrelevant of skin color, you will be rewarded for those choices. We're one of the only countries in the world where that is possible, where you can have intergenerational ascension, where your kids can be better than how you are today.
That's like kind of a fallacy.
It's not a fallacy. That's why Asian Americans entered. That's why Asian Americans entered in the 1940s as the poorest group in America, and they're now the richest group. The Constitution was not written in Korean, yet they have benefited the most from what people call a white predominant society. Indian Americans, for example, from India, are the second richest per race.
Was the Constitution written in Hindi?
No, that's exactly the point.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Continue.
The point is that people say that our society is rigged for white individuals and white men. Evidence does not suggest that. There's twice as many white people living in poverty today than black people. Now, the rate for poverty in the black community is much higher, but the aggregate number is something that should not be ignored. So the misconception that our country is rigged just for people based on a certain skin color has zero evidence. Yet that is the predominant thing that is being taught in our universities.
When did it stop?
What do you mean?
When did it not be rigged anymore? Because it clearly used to be rigged. You're saying it isn't rigged now.
That's a fair point. I'd say throughout the 60s and 70s and 80s, as America got significantly less racist, as we passed the Civil Rights Act, things got more equitable in the sense where better decisions got rewarded more.
And you don't think that there could be a lag effect of 350 years of slavery and 100 years of Jim Crow?
I think those inequities have been more balanced out, more so than it's even worth considering that 350 years of inequity. For example, Asian Americans built the railroad system in America in the late 1800s, early 1900s in America. We put Japanese Americans in internment camps in the 1940s.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've taken history class.
Jewish Americans had an extermination order against them in Europe in the 1940s.
Yeah,
The point being is that
I've taken history class.
right, so almost every racial ethnic group has had some form of suffering. So to point to something that happened a very, very long time ago and to attribute the inequity today to
It
that.
wasn't that long ago, though.
When was slavery abolished?
Slavery was abolished in 1808. The international slave trade was gotten rid of. But then we actually resorted to chattel slavery, which is where we bred them like cattle.
You're not going to hear me defend slavery for a second. No, I mean,
that's
it's
good because
it's one of the great sins of the American. It's one of the great sins of the American story. But you know what's also admirable about it? How we got rid of slavery.
Because admirable about slavery?
No, what's admirable about our history, not about slavery.
Okay. Thank you.
But we still haven't dealt with like the repercussions.
What repercussions would that be?
The lack of the ability for certain people to accumulate wealth.
Such as who?
I don't know, like I was down in New Orleans, right, and I see all these mansions, and it's like those people, that old mansions, they made their money, they're probably slave owners. And then you go into a black neighborhood and it's like...
But they might have been slave owners in 1865
they
when the
have that
American...
accumulated wealth that can compound versus people that don't have the opportunity.
Oh, okay, so you're making a fair point that there might be intergenerational inequity. How do you go about that? Well, some people on the left would say, you tax it, you take away from what people used to have. I totally and completely disagree with that.
What do you think? Then what is your case?
Because
how
I
do
don't
you reparations then?
There's no reparations. I believe in opportunity. Instead of trying to fix the past, which will never happen, which is a horrible idea, you create a better future.
It'll never happen with that.
No, because you know why? Any country that's ever tried reparations has failed miserably. South Africa, for example. They've tried reparations the last 30 years. They're more racially divided on the brink of civil war than they ever have been.
Do you think we're on the brink of civil war?
I hope not.
You think so?
No, I said I hope not.
But I asked if you think so.
No, I don't think we are. But it's people on the left that want us to be more divided than not.
No, I think it's like you.
No.
You're here trying to divide people.
Hold on a second. Do you support black-only dormitories?
Sure.
You do? Okay. That's resegregation. You realize that?
No, I think if black people want to do that, we should allow them to because they have to face it.
Well, then would you support white-only dormitories?
No. I wouldn't.
Why?
Because pretty much the school is white only. Pretty much every dormitory is white only.
I don't know the demographic makeup of Oregon, but looking around, I'd say it's a more diverse campus than just being a white-only campus.
If black people want, yeah.
So you believe in black-only graduation ceremonies at Harvard?
If they want that, sure.
So
why do I care? Why does it bug me?
Well, it should bug you that resegregating parts of the population.
There's a difference.
That
It's
people
totally
march in this.
different.
What's the
One thing
difference?
is white people say that black people have to be separate.
What's the difference
It's
of skin color? What's the difference between a white person and a black
I was
person?
trying to tell you.
Tell me what's the difference between a white person and a black person.
I don't know. I'm not.
There's no difference. They're both human beings. There's only one race, the human race.
They're treated differently.
How are they treated differently? Give me one piece of evidence. What can a black person not do in America that I can do?
They get treated differently by the police, and I've seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though the data shows that a black person...
Data can be used to lie.
So facts don't matter,
Police
essentially.
departments are actually capable of policing their own records, so the ability...
Even though most of the inner city police forces are black majority police forces.
Are they?
Okay,
Such as Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a 44% black city with a 56% black police
That
force.
bugs you?
No, it actually gives me happiness. That, yeah, because I care about all people, and I don't look at people based on race like you do.
So you're post-racial?
Absolutely.
Because it does.
You're not. You're the one that wants black-only graduation ceremonies and black-only dormitories.
That's not what I said.
You're okay with that? I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, because
We desegregated America.
Because that argument works for you, and it's not desegregated.
It's not.
There's still a lot of problems, and like to say that if people want to have.
But the problems are not based on race.
Yeah, they are. There's tons of racial problems in America.
You have yet to give me any evidence or data or one piece
Do
of
you
example.
believe that there are any racial problems?
Individually, absolutely. Are there individually committed people that are racist? 100%.
Do you believe that there are systemic
No, President Trump is one of the least racist people in America.
Whatever.
Do you believe that...
No, give me one evidence that he's racist.
How about he got caught discriminating against giving out
Complete and total false, not true whatsoever.
Okay,
Would-
so
would-
you can not believe
Wait, no.
whatever you
Would
want.
a
Okay.
racist president such as President Donald Trump put a black woman as the
That
first
doesn't-
Army sergeant
that is not
ever
a
in the
real
history of the United
argument.
States Army?
That I'm
Would
not
it-
racist because I'm a black friend argument.
The
doesn't
first Army
fly.
sergeant,
so
the first Army sergeant ever in the history of the U.S. Army? That's not true.
The first woman battalion commander, you can look it
Oh,
up,
okay, battalion
confirmed by
commander
the
is
United
different than
States
a
Senate,
sergeant.
the first black woman confirmed by the United States Senate in a position of the United States Army ever. Here's a very simple
Okay.
question for you. At what point does someone stop being a racist in your mind?
I haven't thought about it.
You haven't thought, but yet you're quick to label, but you're not quick to retract or have a line in your head. That's pretty dangerous,
maybe
isn't
when
it?
they die.
When they die. That's pretty sinister. Do you think I'm a racist?
Yeah. Are you a racist?
No, hold on a second. He thinks I'm a racist. Why would you say I'm a racist?
Just the stuff you're saying.
Name one thing I've said that's ever racist.
Whatever, I'm not going to play that game with you.
Wow, that's a very interesting one. Listening to Charlie Kirk, of course, trying to educate some of these students. And then, to be honest with you, I agree with Charlie Kirk in a sense on this saying that in life, sometimes, you understand, we are treated in some kind of way because of the kind of choices we make. And then that's the reason why you see we used to have something we call the first impression. When people meet you, it's about how you're able to present yourself will determine how they are going to treat you. Of course, you could be a bad person, but if you maybe present yourself as a nice person, of course, they will treat you as a nice person. And if you are a nice person and you present yourself as a bad person, you're going to be treated, in a sense, as a bad person, even though it's not supposed to be so. But then this is how society tends to perceive, you understand, things. Now, when it comes to people, you understand, making choices, people have made, you understand, couples of choices that end up, you understand, making them or destroying them. But then at the end of the day, they make the choice. But then this is what people do. When people make bad choices and then they are being treated based on the bad choices they make, and then they tend to generalize it by bringing the race card. And then that is the reason why you see most of these Western countries or the European countries tend to find it difficult to be able to do away with some of this racism thing. You understand? It's because of the way they tend to generalize it. But then if you were to be like, racism is being treated as an individual thing, like individually, like you are dealing with it in a sense individually, it could have been easier for it to be stamped out in our society and in our communities. But because of it's being generalized, then that becomes, in a sense, a problem, and then that becomes what very difficult thing. So for me, I would say that, in a sense, it's just up to every individual if you want to be successful, like some of the students now, there are a lot of couple of them who decide not to go to school, right? But of course they can still go out, work, get something and all those things, right? But then why did they make that choice, you understand, to go to school? Even though still knowing fully well that you going to school does not still guarantee that you're going to be successful, but at least they made a decision, and the decision is for them to go to school, hoping that tomorrow they are going to be what, better people, you understand, in the society, which is going to give them the opportunity for them to maybe probably go to some different businesses, or should I say different organizations of their choices, in which maybe probably they want to contribute, you understand, to the society, and at the end of the day they end up what, gaining what, income at the end of the month. So what now happen with the rest who decide not to go to school, or who have the opportunity? There is a lot that have the opportunity, but they did decide not to just go. Do you think that, you understand, they are going to be successful? Yes, they are going to be successful, but the thing is, it's going to be rare. But when you go to school, it gives you more chances that you are going to be successful. So I'm not saying that going to school automatically make you a success, because there are a lot of people who didn't go to school and they are very successful. But it's just that when you go to school, it gives you that opportunity. You have that kind of privilege that you can be successful. Let me put it that way. You understand? So this is how, you understand, it is. So people tend to hide behind the racial card, you understand, to be doing some bad things, making bad choices, and then when they try to maybe caution them of some of the things they do, then oh, they are racist, we want segregation and some of those things. So for me, I feel like people need to maybe make some kind of sacrifice when it comes to individual sacrifice for them to be successful. They just have to make such as choices. For instance, I decided to leave home. I left my country for like more than 10 years ago, right? I go searching for greener pasture, trying to do the right thing and all those things, stay away from crime, finish my degree, stuff like that. Like, you understand? These are some of the sacrifices you are going to make. I'm not saying that by so doing automatically means that I'm going to be successful, but at least it gives you opportunity that at least I can be successful. You have that kind of chances to be successful in things, you understand, you do. So how are you going to compare it with somebody who decide to stay back and don't want to take those kind of sacrifice? You understand? Do you think that I don't want to be getting married? Of course I want to get married, I want to have a better family, but then I feel that there are a lot of things I need to do, especially, you understand, to my nation, to my country. There are a lot of things that need to be done, and I feel that no, look, I need to improve myself, I need to go to school, I need to do some kind of things, take part in leadership positions, do some certain things, right, to prepare myself, you understand, for that very time. So you don't expect somebody who decide to stay back and then do nothing and all those things. You understand? Like, you know, life is not really like that. So people need to make choices, and then sometimes, you understand, we are being treated based on the kind of choices, you understand, that we are making. But anyway, just like how you heard them, you understand, keep going to and fro, you understand, concerning that, of course everybody has his own opinion or how they understand, you understand, some of these things. Just like how some of you are listening to me, you also have your own thought and opinion concerning this. But then for me, I wish that they should put them at the comment section. Let's all learn from one another. I may not be right, Charlie Kirk may not be right, the student may be right, you understand, but then I want to hear, you understand, your thought and opinion, and then also some of the evidence if you have some facts. Okay, let's not argue based on emotions, but then let's have some facts, okay, to back up whatever we are saying. And may God bless you as you do so. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share and subscribe, and if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Goodbye.